Then New Year's you double check it out.
That's great. So it's a New Year's. That's amazing.
Hey, Jane, how's it going? Good to see you. Welcome. All good?
Yeah, very good. I'm working with Cork City Radio tonight, Cork City Community Radio.
Yeah.
I was wondering, is it okay to... I interviewed somebody in this thing, but is it okay to record some proceedings?
Oh, I'm not going to be okay now. Who did you say you interviewed earlier on? Luke and Molley. I can't see it being a problem, but Paul will have to give you the okay on that. He's the main man when it comes to that stuff.
So what you can write him with?
You know, if I sit down and like whereas like if I let the imagination wander a little, then I look back and like, you know, I might look back and weekend. Where was I going?
You gotta wander. Where was this class? No, but okay. College Commons. That's cool.
You seem very busy, but would you be okay if we recorded?
Well, I can't give you permission to people over here and
Yeah, well, what I might do is not record the actual, I know what you're saying. Well, I might just get some reviews.
Is it video or audio?
Sorry.
Is it video or audio? Yes, so it's audio recording. So will I just announce it?
that's the best thing. Yeah. Okay. Because it's being broadcast live anyway. It's recorded live anyway.
So Cork Community Radio.
Cork City Community Radio.
What's your full name again, son? Carol.
Yeah. So, if anybody has any objections, they can let me know.
I'll announce it at the very start.
They can just let me know.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you very much.
No.
First time we did was Twomey and It's the sixth year, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just taking that check.
I'm Rosalie. Nice to meet you. We don't always show up, but when we always come to say
It's okay. So when it's about
I say hi, Bob. How are you?
one, two.
What else can you do? Yeah, I remember. So you must be
No volume. No volume. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Good evening. Good evening, everybody. We're ready to start, which means I'm ready to start, which means you kind of have no option but to be ready to start. the way it works. You're very welcome on this chilly January evening to the 680th Ovale and our 6th in conjunction with the First Fortnight Festival. For me, the January event, which has been partnered with First Fortnight for the last 6 years, is one of the highlights of the year. It's always a great night for very many reasons. I'm delighted that we've managed, and I say we, Paul Casey, has managed to maintain the partnership over 6 years. It's a wonderful festival. They do incredible work. And I'm delighted to say we have a representative from the First Fortnight Festival with us tonight, the one and only Stephen James Smith, better known simply as SJS. He adopted this rock star persona a couple of years ago. He actually gets offended if you call him Stephen these days. Now, all right, SJS. So to kickstart, I'm going to ask SJS to just say a few words about the First Fortnight Festival.
Thanks for that. Cheers. How's it going, everybody? To Yves, and hello to those at home, wherever you are as well. I thought you, PC said it was going to be a quiet evening, and it's jam-packed in here, so it's good to see. So First Fortnight is a mental health arts festival that has been going for 12 years, and I've been volunteering with them for 11, doing all sorts of things for them around the country. And it kind of started as a table conversation by two friends of mine around a kitchen table in Tala, and they thought that art was a great way to try and break down the stigma surrounding mental health, that you could speak about or see a performance and that could prompt conversations that people might have during the gigs or after the fact, and that could reduce the stigma. They've expanded beyond that. They now have creative arts therapists that work with people that are homeless or at risk of being homeless as well, and they have also partnered with the new sister project called Mining Creative Minds, which provides free mental health services for people within the arts sector. So they do loads of brilliant stuff. They're lovely people as well. And I'm delighted, as Stan said, that they have been partnering with Ovale, because I've been coming here myself for a number of years as well. And when I saw that Luke and Molley were on tonight, I was delighted, and I made the trek down from Wexford to come along this evening. So you're in for a real treat to see the guys, obviously, but there's loads more things that are taking place in First Fortnight. Look at the website, firstfortnight.ie, or find them on social media and all that jazz, and you hopefully will be back here again next year. But yeah, look at, for me, that's a surface level thing. For me, it sounds corny, but poetry saved my life. I would be fucked if it wasn't for it, in reality. It saved me from myself. It's connected me with people. Art gives me a sense of meaning. It develops a community. What I see here tonight and coming down, I see so many familiar faces, which is beautiful. That's like that's a mental health service that you're doing here all the time. And massive kudos to PC and to everybody involved in keeping this thing going for so long, because I know that the perseverance in the arty world is a tough thing sometimes. So I have massive respect for all you guys. And check out First Fortnight, keep on writing your poems and doing whatever you do to get you through the day. And thanks very much for having us involved. Cool, thank you.
Yeah, it may sound corny, but I'm sure there's more than you in the room that would agree with the statement that the arts have saved their life, or at least massively enriched it. I'm one of them, so thanks, SGS. So just the introduction, the first thing I have to say is that the MC takes over, which is me. That's actually happened. Please be aware that the event is recorded and will be available to revisit as an MP3 podcast and on video via vimeo.com/Ovale. In addition to that, tonight, Andrew Carroll is in the room. Andrew, could you just make yourself known to us? Andrew is going to be doing some recording for Cork City Community Radio. If you prefer not to be involved in that, then either let me or Andrew know, and we'll make sure that doesn't happen. But I'm sure it's nothing that you need to be too concerned about. You have enough worries about your mental health without thinking that Andrew's going to binge on it. So we use the open chat window on Zoom for general comments. Attendees on Zoom can use the chat drop-down list for private messaging between individuals.
But that's all for you, Stan. That's not for anyone.
That's okay. You can move on. We'll move on to the 5-word challenge. So there are 3 sections of the night left. The 5-word challenge, which we'll do now. Then we'll have the guest poets, as SJS mentioned, Luke and Molley. We'll be doing introductions for them when we get to it. And then we'll have an open mic at the end of the night. There's a maximum number on the open mic according to this of 30 or 35. Get your names in early. Get your names in early. So the 5-word challenge is an Ovale tradition. Is there any virgins in the room? As in Ovale virgins, we're not asking for about your sexual life. So the 5-word challenge is a little bit of a competition. Now you get 15 minutes to write a piece of poetry or prose or anything you like using 5 words that are given to you by the audience. So I'm about to ask people to shout out random words. I make a note of them, you make a note of them, you do a piece of writing, and it becomes a competition. Because what are the arts without competition? What isn't the point of being involved in artistic pursuits if you can't say I beat somebody else at something artistic? So, would somebody like to give me the first word of the 5-word challenge for tonight?
Breathe. Breathe from Ben.
Breathe, B-R-E-T-E-A-T-H, yeah?
B-R-E-A-T-H-E.
Yeah, breathe.
Airplane.
Airplane. Next.
Bollocks.
Bollocks to bollocks, but it's on the list now. So,
Aldehyde.
Jesus Christ, Luke, spell that there for me, why will you? Yeah. I-D-E.
Cantaloupe.
Nice, yeah.
What does that mean?
Aldehyde now.
It's the liquid you keep limbs in the Natural History Museum.
Yeah.
It's the liquid you keep limbs in the National History Museum.
Corners for
And you can spell it any way you want. We won't be running around with red pencils or red pens double checking your spelling at the end of the night. Yeah, it's. And one more that I can spell.
Cantaloupe.
Hands preferably. Oh Jesus, there you go. So the 5 words are breathe, airplane, bollocks, formaldehyde, and heaven. You have 15 minutes to construct an epic piece of poetry or prose. And then you will be given a chance to read it to the assembled audience and win stunning prizes. A pint from the bar and a selection of books. See you in 15 minutes. Pen, paper. Thank you. Right. Just check. How you doing? Happy New Year.
You too.
Yeah, good to see you. Oh, good.
Let's check it.
Thank you.
You hope you're getting the shoes. You need to know.
Check that one. Yeah. No, it's
Next sign up for the open mic. Or is it too early?
no, it's not. It's never too early.
It's a number 1 hit.
I don't suppose anybody timed it, did they? If I did, but my phone decided to crash, so I literally have no idea how long we've been at this.
It's your job, Stan.
I know it's my job, Paul. Thanks for reminding me. Thanks for capturing my pain there, Paul. So we're going to give another 3 minutes and we just say that we were at the 15 then, because I literally have no idea how long we've been going. So you did time. Okay, so the good news is that my phone may not be working, but my internal clock is not too far off. We were 14 minutes in, Paul informed me when I made the last announcement. So no, the 15 minutes are up. The competition now begins in earnest. This is how it works. I will open the mic. You can come up, read your 5-word challenge, your 5-word piece. The decision is made on the audience reaction. So if you hear something you really like, holler, etc., etc. Get as excited as you want to get excited within reason. You don't want to be calling the guards on anybody. And then at the end, I will consult the highly technical internal barometer that I use for judging these things, and we will announce a winner who will receive a free pint from the bar and a selection of books here if you're in the Long Valley. If the winner is on Zoom, we will post the books to their address. You'll have to arrange, there's the camera, well, it doesn't matter. If you're at home, you'll have to arrange a drink for yourself. You can buy one, obviously, but we're not going to reimburse you for it. So that's the gig. That's the gig. Who wants to go first?
I'll go.
Go on, you're good. What's your name, love?
Annie.
Annie.
Yeah. Cork is heaven. Church bells round the clock, gigs, cafes, filled with artists that talk about things I want to hear about. I don't mind hearing about. Dark lanes I feel safe to walk down, walk up the hill. And the words people use, I never heard come out of people's mouths before. Lads, Lannard, bollocks, how are you? How are you? I don't know how to say it. And other songs. Yeah, people really talk like that. Who wants to go back on an airplane east? I'd sooner be soaked in formaldehyde than return to the quicksand of my mother's apartment. I feel like that monkey you heard about, the monkey that circles their dead, walking in circles. Save me from mundanity, discussions of cholesterol, weight loss. I want to stay in a place nobody complains about the weather ever, and with a history of butter. I want to go to a butter festival. I want to meet the butter queen in Shandon. I dread seeing my neighbors and saying, yo, how you doing? And hearing them say, same shit, different day. Let God's Spirit smack the fuck out of people, as gods do. Tragedies, crashes, earth splitting open. What have the God's Spirit smacked you with? Come on, we all have been spirit smacked. We all got our share. What smack did you get today? Anything?
What an excellent start. Hands up all of you who've been spirit smacked at some stage. We want to hear those stories before the end of the night. That sounds like a series of stories that would be really good for my mental health. Those of you who've been spirit smacked. Who wants to go second?
Depends if I can read my handwriting as always. On a short trip on magic truffle mushrooms, a horizon of chemicals crystallized into a spider's web before me. Hydrogen, formaldehyde, carbon dioxide, nitrate oxide. Mini Aer Lingus airplanes halo around my head. Bollocks, I burst out into the heavens of arousing euphoria, and then I tried to eat the swear words back up. Shorter than a breath, ears popping like bubble wrap, I woke back up. Thanks.
Now we're off and running. That's Philip. Next up is Jim. Look, Jim can't wait to get here. Come on, Jim. Come on.
Zombie princess. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's formaldehyde. Turned away from heaven, mottled skin, waist cinched by the bodice of Christ. So tight she's anaerobic, not that zombies need to breathe. Only brains, and sometimes bollocks for fiber. When sated, she looks to the clouds, watches airplanes, fantasizes about them crashing, and thinks of buffets of brains. I love.
Okay, at this point of the night, it usually gets a little bit hard to get people up. Just get yourselves ready and come to the mic. We want to hear your words. We don't care whether you think they're shit or not. We still want to hear them.
This is bollocks. It was all a lie. All those years in church, praying, genuflecting, crossing myself and confessing my sins to earn a place in heaven. The right hand of the big man, with all my loved ones and my best dog. It was all for naught. It was all a lie. I lived a good life, or at least I tried, gave alms and didn't complain, at least not about the good things. And what they told me, it was all a lie. I wasn't unhappy. I just wanted a holiday, a soft sandy beach, a warm breeze, but then the airplane shook. Masts dropped. The bag didn't inflate, but I could still breathe. It didn't matter. It was all a lie. And now I'm stuck in this bag, on this slab, my body filled with formaldehyde and waiting for what's next. This is bollocks.
Hi, hello.
I'll just cut there.
Yeah. I think that is okay. Thanks. Hi. So this poem is called Indigo. Static heaven in a glooming galaxy. Aliens shape driving through a subverted reality. Equations and numbers in formaldehyde transcendence. A plan breathed purple indigo. Marvel Avengers with enough bollocks to the infinite and beyond. On the airplane of the Air Force One. Thank you.
Yeah. Mike.
Bollocks to a holiday in the sun. This year's hottest destination will bring me not through clouds and verdant sky, but glancing off a paradise above, not glancing off paradise above, but will instead take me to ground, digging deep, not metaphorically, but literally downward into the guts of the earth, foregoing airplanes, bullet trains, and automobiles. Give me mining equipment, heat-reflective bodysuits. I will drink pints of formaldehyde to preserve myself, whatever it takes to get me closer to a central point of truth, eschewing sun-dried masses so that I can breathe in my own lonely heaven.
Kidnapped. These vessels cold stare with eyes and limbs, bullocks bulging refracted through glass and formaldehyde. The air breathes dust, floating, glimmering in the rays that fall through the cracks in the roof, dancing. Eyes follow, high, the airplane, its wings refracting luminous orange, revealing a hint of heaven. In the depth of this attic, door padlocked, cameras staring, stuck with these vessels, cold, staring with eyes and bullocks from the formaldehyde, waiting just for me. When will the heavens open their gate?
This is a special day. You know, the kind to leave an impression the moment you open your eyes. You have barely slept in excitement, so you already float. The family is in a frenzy, so no one pays attention to the bags under your lids. And you float. The car is open, the luggages are loaded, the chain formed by the working ants that we are, busy under the clear sky of winter. In effort, you breathe out, and your mind wanders off. Like that cloud, it floats. Mom is a bit stressed. Dad says she's in no bollocks mode, but we won't repeat it to her. He also said her nagging would be a real pain on the trip to the station. I doze off and on, cradled by the radio and its old tunes, some melody that floats. It feels like heaven, but nothing like traveling in an airplane. My sister will tuck me in. The craft's engine will sing a mechanical lullaby. There is a lady sitting on the seat in front of me, wearing this white fur coat that fits her so well. She looks like an angel that reeks of death. A formaldehyde smelling of formaldehyde. When I woke up, she was gone, but the scent, it still floats.
Wish ticket. If I could take an airplane to heaven and breathe the air of God, I'd still say, what a load of bollocks. To see my nana laugh again, and Granda too, and keep their chuckles in formaldehyde. Hopefully I'll get them through the checkpoint.
Just one again.
Nan does not breathe anymore. Nan does not breathe anymore. All my aunts are crying. I love my Nan, but this is bollocks. I kiss her stone cold head, but I know she's doormat dead. Gone and heaven my fuck. You'll have better luck pulling blood from a turnip when you're kicking up tulips. This isn't my grandmother. They can't see all she was has passed under the cover of a morphine-induced slumber into soil and air and sea. No, this lifeless ornament adorned in tears and torment is an object. Gone are the smiles and laughs and age lines that decorated by time striated. A face worn by the suicide of her youngest son, Uncle Bob. I remember kissing that corpse too. Yuck. I remember kissing that corpse too. Yuck. I was only 4 and they drove me to the funeral in a Corsa boot, but formaldehyde does a good job hiding the truth for the trembling 40-year-old youths. I'm 15. I have been in an airplane to boot. I've never saw God or a pantheon. The world to me is plain. Death has surrounded me from a young age, and this is all I know, my only certainty. In this reality, my mortality in front of me, memento mori. There are sandwiches, and they are manky. Thank you.
Winter in the junior seminary. The formaldehyde froze in the glass jars on the top shelf of the old school lab. Our breaths crackled on exhalation. The tips of our toes clinked against each other. We fired paper airplanes at each other, lathered with spit. 2 brothers in soutanes shoveled frosty coal into the boiler's grate. Latin class started late, as Father Talbot arrived with rosy cheeks and mittened hands. I missed Men's Sam when declining my nouns and shouted out bollocks. The hurley was pulled out and I received 5 slogs across the ass, then 5 swipes of the leather on the palms of my hand. I sat back in my seat, contented, glowing in the warmth imparted by the heaven-sent punishment.
Are you gonna make this joke every
No,
single time?
not every time. No, just this time. And all foreseeable opportunity.
Okay, first of all, don't believe a word I'm gonna read. I'm perfectly fine. Can we pretend that the airplanes in the night sky are like shooting stars? I could really use a wish right now. But truth be told, it sucks. Life sucks. I'm lost and I don't know where to go. They're wishing a happy new year everywhere and I pretend to do the same. Smile, greet, happy-go-lucky, blah, blah, blah. It's pointless. It's a dead end. And like they say in the movie, it's just life. It will be over before you know it. I'm wandering aimless, feeling weird. How do you define a direction when your steps change with any sick thought? The only thing I breathe from my surroundings is formaldehyde. What a hardcore smell. I'm sure you'll agree with me. And let's be honest, despite what I've been told, heaven is full of bollocks.
Keep coming. Come on.
Darkness, 2023. I preserve your heart in a suitcase on a runway without an aeroplane. Your steel bollocks turn to marshmallow as I feast and breathe from the next page of heaven. All the night is a lullaby as your formaldehyde love bubbles in 4 chambers of darkness.
We were going to watch airplanes that spring. As the air began to spin purple clouds like cotton candy that shower rain to breathe softness into the ice, we were meant to watch the aluminum birds take flight from a picnic blanket on the roof of a concrete parking garage. The ice thawed, that much is true. Everything else melted away with it, until it was just my brain, flesh peeled off in a pile of jelly on the floor, floating in a jar of formaldehyde, suspended all alone. And then there were eyes, 3 sets of eyes gawking, and a pair of them were my own, and their eyelids were torn off, so that their disaster would be unwavering. And my back never knew the jabbing nubs of concrete, and my eyes never traced chemtrails through the darkness until they looked like the tails of comets. And it was bollocks how my brain floated there, and it was not silenced, but it could not move, and all it could do was count bubbles in the yellow-tinged goo, and wait for something it didn't know if it was even coming. But then there was a moment, or then there was a heaven, an exhale of silence, so rare and so fleeting that it takes only a millisecond for it to have faded, and for the moment to have gone unrecognized, like the blinding white when the sun hits a lake, and eyes blink closed unwillingly. But with your eyes shredded, eyelids shredded, and your brain suspended in nauseating preservative, you can just barely catch hold of it, and it feels like the spring you never got.
So just while those of you in the room who are thinking about coming up, make your mind up to decide to come up, we're going to go to Zoom, and we're going to have Max.
Or mad words. Lovely to see you all. Lovely to see Roisin there, all the way over from America. Welcome. I'd love to see you, but I'm got a bit soft with the Zoom life. So it's a bizarre subject, so bear with me. So many kinds of confitures, so many sweet preserves. 1. So many pickled in post-festive excess, encased in fruitcake, slackened like flak jackets, plum jammed with puddings, fodder for the Lippo kings. So many kinds of confitures, so many sweet preserves. 2. Get used to the smells of formaldehyde, pickled shapes marinated in time, where once they breathed boundless, endless heaven. Living forever, alas, callow youth, alas not. Paper airplane climbs, projects their shapes in time, capsules in the name of anatomy class, recast in their future present for unskilled hands to practice. So many kinds of confiture, so many sweet preserves. 3. Cryonics of iced vanity, frozen in vain hope, dream of their last lost faith, awake in future decades, irrelevant and alien. So many kinds of confiture, so many sweet preserves. I couldn't say bollocks, so I had to say, Bo locks the door, applies. My mother would never turn her bed. Bo locks, Madame Bo locks the door. Applies a layer of polyfilla to her fading beauty. Getting old sucks, Cher used to say. Character lines desiccate, but they delineate my character. Madame Bo recites to herself, I am a vintage confiture. I am a rare preserve. I am aged to a very special vintage. My lifelines, my love lines, my riches that I richly deserve. For there are many confitures and there are many sweet preserves. So that's it, no?
How are we doing, guys? I have to be sure I can decipher all the little squiggles I've written on this page. This one is called Weekend in the Canaries. It is Tuesday. Somewhere above the Azores, I am walking on the wing. I am a blue angel, stuntman, Tom cruising through the sky at 600 awe-inspiring miles an hour. If only Dad could see me now. I'm sure he'd tell me he was proud. I edge a little further out. I remove my trousers and wrap them around an aileron. So, gripping nothing but 2 denim legs, and to the delight of the onlookers, I may Superman beside the plane, flying free, the formaldehyde wind nipping at my frozen cold canopic bollocks. I breathe in the feeling of sailing free through God's mind, dead eye straight into heaven. Did you know they'll just let anyone book the emergency exit seat of a 747? Thank you.
Just breathe, you plead to yourself as you listen to the breeze caress the broken body of the airplane. A prayer strains to escape your lips, but you leave it off. What a box of sweet bollocks. You tried to live well, unsure about meek shepherds with long locks, but now it seems damn sure you're soon to find out if there's a heaven or hell. It's a formality, but you doubt you'll be found alive. Maybe they'll scatter your ashes in the sea until they can't see them. Or maybe they'll dip your limbs in formaldehyde at a natural disaster museum.
Anyone else on Zoom?
Do you want to ask Pam there? I think she might have one here.
Pam, have you got something? It's very awkward having a conversation with a camera, isn't it?
Almost.
There, Pam.
Lipping bollocks. No, I have something.
You can just call me Stan, Pam. There's no hassle.
I'm swearing. Lipping bollocks. Sorry, Mags. I apologize to your mother.
She's in another world, but she still disapproves.
I think I have. I think I have all. I think I have all the words, but let's see. Here we go. Are you ready? Out of my back pocket, a poem limps. Airplane born on formaldehyde fumes. Letter frenzied. Bollocks to the page. Breathe.
Thanks, Pam, and my mother will appreciate the apology as well, I'm sure. Is there anybody else in the room who wants to contribute? Oh, yeah. What's the name of? Right. Is that okay now?
Yeah, I'm not up to much now back in Clarny. I left a job again, having told my mother. She called me a lazy bollocks, but if I were a fella, but she knows enough now to know that I'm sensitive, that I'm finding myself. Although I've been doing that now for 7 years. Anyway, if I go to cities now, it'll be to leave, to board an aeroplane, or to frequent poetry readings, or to visit museums, to see old paintings and dead animals preserved by formaldehyde. No, I'm not up to much now back in Clarny, but at least I can breathe. At least the mountains reflecting in the lake look to me a little bit like heaven.
So I titled it Formaldehyde to just not have to deal with that part. It does a thing. It does a thing.
Paul is frantically Googling the rules there.
Yeah. So, formaldehyde. I'm pickled, stuck, deafened and blind and full. Pent up and pressure pressing in from all sides, suspended, floating, almost inanimate, barely a thought,
No breath, though I long for breathing. No light, though I long to see in all the vivid colours of the sky. To fly like an airplane, or to walk the dirty streets again and take it all in. Both would be sweet to me. Release from my own mind, my barely there thoughts and all that fucking bollocks. In my most lucid moments, I cry and pray, take me to the heaven of seeing and feeling the beauteous banality of living. Today, now, human, free. Thank you.
I think we're done with it. Last call, definitely last call. No takers this time. Nice even 20 contributors, excellent stuff. Just before I announce the winner, just to remind you of a few things that people took out of that. It's interesting because when the word bollocks was suggested, we got a few ohs. But actually, I think people really enjoyed the bollocks. Not so sure about, but that's a very dangerous phrase. I've just realised that. It just came back through my fucking head in an echo chamber. I've said, fuck's sake, Stan, what are you saying? No, we'll have none of that filthy talk now, Michelle.
Never mind the bollocks.
Yeah. And apparently heaven is full of bollocks. Apparently. And Carl has the ability to come to Tom Cruise through the air. Fair play to him. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. I will say now, just before I announce the winner is not getting to drink pints of formaldehyde. That's not happening. I know there's somebody in there wrote into their poem they drink pints of. It's not happening here. But the winner, who managed to note that Mummy is in no bollocks mode, which I think is an absolutely brilliant line, is Cedric. I know.
Well, I'm nervous. I think I just peaked.
No. New peak.
Yeah. I would have to choose a title for that one because I actually like it. This is a special day. You know, the kind to leave an impression the moment you open your eyes. You have barely slept in excitement, so you already float. The family is in a frenzy, so no one pays attention to the bags under your lids, and you float. The car is open, the luggages are loaded, the chain formed by working ants that we are, busy under the clear sky of winter. In effort, you breathe out, and your mind wanders off. Like that cloud, it floats. Sorry. Mom is a bit stressed. Dad says she's in no bollocks mode, but we won't repeat it to her. He also said her nagging would be a real pain on the trip to the station. I doze off and on, cradled by the radio and its old tunes. Some melodies that floats. It feels like heaven, but nothing like traveling in an airplane. My sister will tuck me in. The craft engine will sing a mechanical lullaby. There is a lady sitting on the seat in front of me, wearing this white fur coat that fits her so well. She looks like an angel that reeks of death. A formaldehyde smelling of formaldehyde. When I woke up, she was gone, but the scent, it still floats.
Excellent, Cedric. You'll get a free drink from the bar, and we've a selection of books here for you as well. And we're going to take a short break before we come back have our guest poets. Are we? Not taking a break? Okay, we're not. So, your man is some bollocks, the guy who suggested formaldehyde. These writing challenges are hard enough without asking to words that clutch at your lungs and compress them in a manner a decompressed airplane would, leaving you caught for breath and praying it will be heaven's gate and not a black door with 666 scratched upon it. You'll see when the 5-word challenge flight you boarded with such hope crashes into the Arctic Sea. So there's no break, so I just thought I'd read that when I'm trying to rearrange my mind. One of the things about having a mental health issue, and I do have a mental health issue, although it's much, much better than it was in the past, is that your brain, despite not functioning the way people think it should function, creates structures, and when there's a change to that structure, it can discombobulate you. So Paul discombobulated me there by telling me we weren't taking a break. In the good old days when I was an angry young man, I'd have told him to fuck off and to take a break anyway. Not because it's Paul, that's just generally the way I reacted to things in the old days, when I didn't have my own. Okay. That's Eileen Healy there, just in case anybody doesn't know who she is. She's the one who does a lot of that stuff from the audience. But she's from Youghal, so she doesn't know any different. So we have a few announcements. Ovale aims to maintain a safe space for writers and attendees and subscribe to the Arts Council's Equality, Diversity and Inclusion policy. We ask participants to maintain respect when communicating and to report any offensive behaviour to Ovale. We'd like to thank everyone who has kindly offered donations in the past and encourage you to do the same again tonight as we pass the donation jar around. If you're online, you can visit our link at www.ovale.e blog, contact us. Oh no, that's a different one. Where's the PayPal? Is that, yeah, the PayPal donations there somewhere. Anyway, the 10th 5 Words International Poetry Competition continues at the end of January. The words for this week, this is a separate competition to the 5 word that was on tonight. You can get these words online, but because you're here tonight, you get the Molley. You can stay up all night writing a poem that you could possibly win a cash prize for. The words for the 10th to the 17th of January, I'll write these down there, SJS. Fit, innate, direction, compete, and isthmus. We expect to see your entry by the end of the week, all right? As isthmus, ISTHMUS. As mentioned earlier on, this event is recorded and will be available to revisit as an MP3 podcast and on video via vimeo.com Ovale. Next month, the 261st Ovale will be on Monday the 13th of February. The guests are the MA Creative Writing students from UCC. That's always a great night. And I'm pretty sure that some of the people who attended here as the students have then gone on to become regular Ovale attendees, which is always great. Colm Scully is running a course in Ashton School beginning in the spring of 2023. It's an introductory course to poetry writing and poetry film. You can book at ashtonadulteducation.ie, and there's a telephone number here, but Colm's in the room, so maybe just have a chat with Colm. Are the details on colmscully.com as well? Yeah, colmscully.com. And on the 25th of January, the Franciscan Well Prose and Woes will be back for its monthly edition. I don't know who the guests are. We might deal with that a little bit later on when I eventually get a fucking break. Never the time to think. No. To our guest poets. We have 2 guest poets. I'm going to introduce them individually as they come up. Our first guest poet tonight is Luke Morgan. Luke Morgan's second collection, Beast, is new from Arlene House in 2022, and in the words of Victoria Kennefic, is an astonishingly original exploration of the wilderness that exists within us. His debut collection, Honest Walls, was published in 2016. His work has been published in various journals worldwide, including the Poetry Review, Poetry Island Review, and Cyphers. He lives and works in Galway as a filmmaker, writer, and theatre director. You can get Luke on Twitter at Luke Morgan Poet. We have a massive round of applause for Luke. And before you start reading, you might get the filthy stuff out of the way and tell us the prices of the books.
I don't think I've ever been at a poetry reading where it's been proven to you beforehand, before you go up, that every single person in the room is a better poet than you are. The books are €15 each. That wasn't a joke. Why are you laughing? Thanks so much for having me here, O'Vale. It's great to be down from Galway. No cheer, I notice. My name's Luke, and I'm going to be with you for the next 20 minutes. I'm going to start a timer now, because there's nothing worse than people going over their time, overstaying their welcome. We were talking about it earlier today. It's like, oh, I'll just read 16 more poems. That's not going to be me. This first poem is about, we're talking about mental health. We're here at the First Fortnight Festival, and it's great to be part of it. About the different shades we can sometimes occupy from day to day, the different colors that we can sometimes own. This is called Chameleon. This morning, I decided to be violet. Downstairs, I was brown, green on the street. And when I spoke to the waitress in the deli, I was ochre with a hint of sienna. For the boss, I was yellow, blue for the old busker, and I chose rustic orange on the phone to my mother, coloring her ear. When Jake texted, I sent a teal one back. I was pink when you and I were together, and the red from my touch bloomed on your skin. But now, behind the study door, my turpentine thoughts strip back the layers until I am white, transparent. Thank you. Speaking of colours, I thought I was going to be the most colourfully dressed person in the room tonight, but that's something else I've come second on. So exactly. Speaking of animals as well, I've written a whole book about them. This is Beast, and this next poem is called Rodent, and it's about an animal that's quite close to my heart. In fact, it is my heart. It's called my rodent. I like to refer to him as the little rat in my chest. And unfortunately, my rodent is a little abnormal. So next year I'm going to have some surgery on him. But despite his ailments and despite his ill will, he's a good guy. He's a good little rodent. This is Rodent. I woke to feel his nimble claws inside me, and scratched away the thoughts of my own death. My Aunt Joanne, the first resort next door, pressed a hand against my wheeling chest to find a frightened creature racing there. Next day, I felt a nurse spread cold blue gel, and for the first time in my early life could curse my misbehaving pet on screen. We'll need to make a cut right here, she said, but not before you're 29 years old. I nailed some wood against my ribcage then, and sought the noise to hide me from his squeaks. When that backfired, I tried to pawn him off, showed him to some strangers after dark, or turned him upside down until he squealed. The day I lay my head upon your chest, I heard a scuttle faint and turned to look. A grey-haired thing stared back with beady eyes. This once forgotten pest, despite my best, had run me here with all his furry might. Now you've heard of unsolicited dick pics, but have you heard of unsolicited dick poems? You have now. This is a poem about being a young man, growing up as a young man in school, and going through puberty, and coming to terms with another pesky little animal that announces itself at the most unpredictable of times. This is Armadillo. Here's how he'll arrive. Not with a thud, but a nuzzle, so slight you'll barely notice him. In Mrs. Dively's geography class, learning about rock formations, no less. You'll never wear loose boxers again. Hiding from a hall roll of loud students in the furthest cubicle, the one with a thick stone wall on one side, He will unfurl in your terrified hands, look up at you, beg to be protected. Curl back into a ball then, still too visible behind your trousers. All right there, Lukey. Lads will stop your heart at the lockers. Smile knowingly when you claim it's just a seam in the fabric. Listen for him that first night. Make a locked room ambient. Breathe onto palms to try and coax him, but know he is unpredictable and will emerge at the most confusing of times. Stupid o'clock on a freezing bus, mid-quadratic equation after lunch, in a changing room full of bony classmates. You will lose him on a day in January when a girl with tamed fire for hair walks to you across the green of your estate. Don't panic. Play some Stevie Wonder on the old hi-fi in the living room. Let him go to her. Feel his gentle weight leave your body, and don't for a second be sad that he does not look back. Wow. When I was in school, speaking of school, school is a rather terrifying place. And I was on the rugby team with two gentlemen who are sadly no longer with us. And I want to dedicate this next poem to them. This one's called Pitch, and it's for the fortnight that's in it. Pitch. Before everything got complicated, there was the Rugby Schools Cup final. I stood on a pitch, more bullet hole mud than grass, and held out my hands. Richter Scale Rogers plucked it from the ruck and ran it himself before hitting the ground. Comerford, carrot top hair, freckles in the shape of a smile, retrieved it and flung it at me. A yell let sail through gleaming gun shield. Within a year, Rogers and Comerford were gone. A shock passed from one to the other before nestling against my chest. The rest of us are still here, our legs pumping against defensive lines, madmen in the sludge, trying to stay on our feet. Thanks very much. It's great to be here. As a young man, unfortunately, whenever life gets particularly difficult, we're trained to just go and beat the crap out of something. So this next poem is called Tough Stuff, and it's about, well, it's pretty self-explanatory, but I like to repeat it to myself. It's a mantra that that I use when things are feeling, when I'm feeling a little bit down. Tough stuff. I can't go beat the shit out of him, and I certainly can't go beat the shit out of her. So I decide to go beat the shit out of the Atlantic instead. Come on, so, it shouts at me, thumping its chest. But, as we all know, the worst kind of person to taunt is the person who is prepared to die. And I am. I'm bloody well prepared to die. So I kick off my shoes, trousers, socks, jocks, and run into it. And it thumps me, but I thump it back. It grabs my balls and puts me into a headlock and pulls my hair until we're both out of breath. And we walk to the shore together, our arms around one another, and it says to me, "You're made of tough stuff, man. You're made of tough stuff." On the, I haven't been heckled yet. This is amazing. On the cover of my new book, which is only €15, this is the statue that you might recognize. It's been created by a man called Aidan Hart, and it was commissioned by Ennis Diamond Town Council. Have you heard about this? This was on all over the news, and of course the locals rejected it. Well, some of them did. I think the parish priest had something to do with it. So it kind of went viral. It went all over the newspaper. But when I saw it, I thought, this is perfect for, what I was trying to do with the new collection. So I reached out to him and I asked him, could we use it on the cover? And I was amazed that he said yes. I mean, so generous. But this next poem is inspired by the puka, the statue of the puka. Is anybody familiar with the myth of a puka? It's like he's a naughty shapeshifter, he or she, and causes all sorts of trouble. So this next poem, if I can find it, is called Villanelle of the Puka. To many people once, I could be many things, and seeing me would only bring bad luck. But I found my shape in all the shape shifting. With many lovers once, I did have many flings. I rode until the ground beneath me shook. To many people once, I could be many things. For undeserving hearts, I chose the word that clings, the word that leads its searcher rare and struck. I found my shape in all the shape shifting. I am ashamed to say I clipped a fair few wings, and more to say I kept the ones I took. To many people once, I could be many things. I thought I sat at tables meant for worldly kings, grew a brittle fur you couldn't pluck. I found my shape in all the shape shifting. Now the fattened lady chortles as she sings. You will no longer see me run amok. To many people once, I could be many things, but I found my shape in all the shape shifting. It was my grandfather who encouraged me to keep up this unsavory habit I had as a young fellow of writing poems. So you can address your concerns to him. I remember he passed away a couple of years ago, and not before he, encouraged me to keep writing. And he was really the first person who took my writing seriously. I say this is my second book, but it's actually my fourth, because I used to write like books on Microsoft Word and print them out, and then I'd send them to him, and I'd have the long conversation with him where he'd take me through all his edits and all his feedback and stuff. So I was really proud that actually Stephen James Smith was there in the room the first time I had a poem published by Writing for All, and he was there. My grandfather was there to see that day happen. But around this time, I had a very annoying housemate who used to run up and down the stairs in this 3-story flat that I was living in Galway. And also at that same time, I was beginning to learn about, I was starting to have heart palpitations. So I tried to, as you do in a creative writing class, combine those 3 very unrelated things to make one poem called Palpitations. I listened to your footsteps on the staircase 2 years after my grandfather was found dead, one arm and leg out of the bed as if he made to get up. You don't know of my chest pain or how much I dislike you the way you round the stairs like this. The thump, the thump, the thump at 10 in the morning, like my mother in Misty Clonus when she found him that summer. Look at stars, he had said the previous evening, God's footsteps across the sky. They had drunk port, gin for my grandmother, gone to bed at 1. I look at the ceiling, the spots of mold almost glowing, slow my breathing. Your footsteps finally cease. This next one's called Stretch. I could have told him back then as he stood up to stretch, singing in that mock dramatic way of his that annoyed me so much. I will always love you. That he looked in good shape. I could have told him. Instead, I spat, shut up, in the way older siblings do, and returned to my book where Anna cried at her brother's deathbed. I heard the front door open and close. When I looked up next, it was winter. The singing had stopped and the house had drawn tight. It's a great sound, isn't it?
It's like the only time you hear that sound is that like at a poetry reading. You know, if you did it in any other context, it would just be really inappropriate. Always try and like aim for that sound. Yeah. Gonna be really offended if you don't do it now next time.
We've just moved into the second part of the show. Then.
Yes, indeed. Where was I? So, speaking of my brother, as I was there, my brother is closest relationship I have in my life is with my brother. We own a company in Galway together, and during some particularly dark days, around the time we were going to school, it was about 10 years ago, and just I don't know if you remember, like it was every time you turned on the radio, there was politicians, dour-faced, dour-voiced people just spewing facts and figures. The country was in the throes of a recession, and everything seemed just really drab and grey. And this poem is about something that happened during that time. It was a protest that my dad and my brother staged that was just stands out in my mind and my memory as being such a bright and colourful moment in amongst those days. It's called The Front Page. When everything crashed and the government bailed out the bondholders, my dad and brother dressed up as tuxedoed pigs and stood outside the Department of Finance dancing and throwing fake money at everyone. It's a true story, by the way. Their skin was painted luminous pink, their stereo blaring. The sight of them toasting glass shoots of apple juice paused the morning commute on Marion Street for several minutes. They got on the 6-1 news that evening, and when the school secretary rang home the next day to ask why he was absent, my mom replied, "Look at the front page of the Independent." There they were, cardboard snouts, so lifelike, the bright face paint like someone had taken a highlighter pen to all that black and grey. Thanks very much. I think as an artist, and I know now that the room is full of them, so I hope you'll empathize with what I'm about to say, but as an artist, your identity as a person is so wrapped up in producing art and producing work and receiving validation from other people on that work, almost proving that, you know, you have a right to continue to create, but also to continue to exist. And this poem was inspired by one of my walks around where I live in my Cullen. One morning I saw this otter struggling, and I sort of invented the rest, but this is a poem called An Otter at Sunrise. Still, I cannot blame him as he picks through litter, bobbing empty near his fur, film cartons and paint tubs, an old guitar and poetry book thrown out by harsh water on a whim. If his dam broke apart now, scattering down the thin creek, he thinks the clutter he still seeks will help him to float. But like me, he's yet to note that when it's time to swim, he'll know how. This, I'm going to leave you with this poem. Before I do, I just want to say a big thanks to Paul for having me here. It's tremendous to have a platform like this where, you know, people like myself and Molley can come and share our work and be listened to so attentively. So thank you very much to Ovale and to Paul. Thank you to Stan for the generous introduction. And thank you all for listening. I've something else you may not know about me. I've got a pet monkey, dancing monkey. Can you see him? This one's for him. And I'll leave you with this. This is Dancing Monkey. He follows me everywhere. In crowds, he goes down a treat. People clap in time with his fervent bounces. And when they don't, he claps a little harder. Even when we're in cafes, trying to share a quiet Americano,
He starts making faces for nearby children in high-risers and won't stop until he turns a cry into a laugh. His dancing has taken me to faraway places, an icy subway platform in New York, lions scouting in Zambia, the belly of a 100-foot whale. His waltzing drove away more than one best friend. Of course, I would give out about this if I hadn't just now entered the curtained room without a mirror because I heard a clatter. And through a gap in the door, his limbs moving to some invisible, ever-changing algorithm, I see myself, eyes closed, dancing for my life. Thank you very much.
Thanks a million, Luke. That was fabulous. Thank you for lots of things in there that were very interesting. But I'm going to move on swiftly to Molley's introduction because I'm very conscious of my own armadillo at this stage. I've been super conscious of it since that poem, which was, I think, the second one. Like, it's a disaster. Put that in a man's mind when he's an MC. But thank you so much. Great reading. No, I am going to read Molley Twomey's biography. So Molley Twomey grew up in Lismore in County Waterford and graduated in 2019 with an MA in Creative Writing from University College Cork. She runs an online international poetry event, Just to Say, which is sponsored by Jacquard Press. In 2021, she was chosen for Poetry Ireland's Introduction Series and awarded an Arts Council Literary Bursary. Her debut collection, Raised Among Vultures, was published in May 2022 with Gallery Press. What it doesn't say here is that Ovale has been a huge part of Molley Twomey's journey, and I have witnessed that journey many times here in Ovale, and it's been absolutely brilliant to watch it, and I'm absolutely delighted to introduce her as a guest poet at Ovale tonight. Molley Twomey.
Ooh, Molley.
Hello. It is lovely to be here, in particular for First Fortnight. Yeah, because I started coming to Ovale in maybe 2016. So I was in Galway first, and then I had a diagnosis of anorexia, and I transferred to Cork. And that was really lonely, I would say, because I was kind of in college and having to start again a little bit. I didn't know anyone, and I used to come up. I don't know how I started coming to Ovale. I think my mom told me about it. And I used to come up and I used to sit down and listen to people share so authentically and so honestly. And I used to watch people listen to each other with such respect and care in the way you're all doing right now. And I just felt a lot less alone, and I suppose a lot more grounded, and in the realization that everyone else, you know, has things going on and has things they're preoccupied with. And it's been really important for me, both as a poet and as a person. So thank you all for that. Yeah, so I'll just crack on. And so the first poem I'm going to read is called The Drop Off, and it's about a car journey with my dad to the residential treatment centre that I was in Dublin to be treated for my eating disorder. So I'll just crack on. The Drop Off. Everything's a blur. You don't play Talking Heads, Bob Dylan, talk about work or your iffy stomach. You read the road as if it's encrypted with what a father should say on a drive like this. Should I apologize for your missed appointments? Unread emails? There is always someone who needs you more. Mostly, I'm sorry that I'm not as happy as you raised me to be. I want to ask the GPS the quickest route to end this silence. When we reach the center, you pull up and go straight for the boot. This is what you know to do, to lift the heavy thing. Tell me to take your good umbrella. You drag my suitcase to the door, where the nurse stands with a notepad and clutches your arm. I'll come back soon, you say. But she smiles and says it's better if you don't. So when I was in treatment, I suddenly got really obsessed with like amusement parks, and I kind of decided I wanted to go visit loads of them when I was out. And I think I was just because I was really bored and I just wanted to feel like adrenaline or something. And I wrote this poem called Risk about that. But it's also kind of about the relationships you form in a place like that, which, you know, because people are bored, so they can just be a little bit risky. So risk. All I want is to be shot into the air by a starship, thrown far from waiting rooms, gurneys, and supervised toilet trips. A pill, punched from its dispenser. I get it, she says, interrupting my list of amusement parks I'll visit when I'm discharged. She drags her scarlet nail along her sternum, says, I love the thrill that a belt might loosen, a spring could snap. She shows me how to hide supplements in a cactus pot, to raid the contraband cabinet when the nurse who falls asleep is on. Can you feel it? She asks, placing my palm on her chest, hers on mine. The bumper cars of our hearts stutter and jolt. There was when I first wrote the book and I was starting to do kind of interviews and stuff about it, and people would ask me to read specific poems. There was one poem that I was like, oh my God, I hope nobody asks me to read this ever. And of course, everyone asked me to read it, because, you know, it's the one where it's like, oh, this is a bit like uncomfortable or whatever, especially for me and my mom. So like it's a poem about us like in a changing room together, which is just like, I don't really want to read it, but now I'm kind of used to reading it. So and I suppose it's just been relatable for people because I suppose the relationship that women have with their bodies in particular, when having that conversation with your daughter and your mom, it's like so kind of, I don't know, dangerous and awkward and difficult. This is called Zipping Up My Mother's Dress. Her hands church her midriff. It's a 10, she says. I can't believe it fits. She's been eating raw carrots, counting her steps. What does she want me to say? That I'm glad she's smaller, that she looks great. She used to be a tight 12. That extra flesh was the decade she banned diet books, snacked on almond pastries, and drove me to dietitians and therapists. We revved past joggers, turned up the heat. Thanked Christ I stopped getting up to sprint. At the pharmacy, she waded me through carb blockers and keto shakes. I'm trying to accept that her body is hers, not a fire blanket I step on to escape the flames of my worst years. Still, how can almost losing me not be enough to kill her desire to be small? Has she forgotten the ECGs, the blood tests? Before I speak, her arms slide around my hips, She says she's glad that we can shop again, that she can touch me and I don't flinch. Her heart against mine, the contraction and release of a stress toy. She pinches her belly, asks will she get away with this. I say yes, I'm buying, and tear off the tag so she never knows the price. So this poem is about essentially going on possession. So I come from a rural town where there's not a lot for teenagers to do. So naturally we would just go into a forest with naggins. And this is called Knives We Used on Our Skin. Who did we imagine would pick up our filters, our shattered glass? Our minds were closed buds. In the oaks and pines by the old ice house, we sparked firelighters, threw back naggins, cans of cherry cider. We sucked Bensons and mints, had our first kiss, our last smoke. What did we know of a beer cap in a vixen's throat, or the stomach of a hare gagged with cigarette butts? All we knew, for sure, was if we drank enough, we could voice the panic attacks we had before maths, the mantras that our bodies were too big, too small, too riddled with spots. We confessed that we watched our mothers dice carrots with the knives we used on our skin and babysat kids by the river we dreamt of walking into. Here we uncapped what was held so tightly, like a sluice trap after so many winters. Our tense jaws, our cramped hearts were held by the earth's nerves, those roots and vines that quietly lowered the pressure of our blood. I did a reading recently and my little brother came and I kind of asked him after, how he thinks it went. And it was with a secondary school. And he said, well, if they came in happy, they definitely all left really sad. So I'm sorry about that. It's good for me to get it out, so thanks anyway. Nightshade. This poem is, I suppose, because I've been quite open about my experience of an eating disorder, it is quite common for people to ask me about treatment, like where do I get treatment, how to get access to treatment, and often the waiting lists are insane. There just isn't the funding there, there isn't the beds there, and like eating disorders are awful. People have to be at a really bad place to accept help, and they're manipulative disorders. So even to admit that you need help is like a huge thing, and then to be told that there isn't any help is like, oh, grand, cool. So this is kind of what happens when people ask me, where do I get help? Nightshade. She and I circle her apartment block, a cloister. She's terrified to drink tap water, to rub moisturizer into her skin. Sometimes she burns the whorls on her fingertips, wonders what it's like to not exist. I tell her about coloring books, how making a whale pink, a blackbird yellow, can give the illusion she could change things. Do this in the morning, I say, under the penlight of sun, mainly to give her a reason to wake. I show her the relief of ripping up black nightshade, hurling rotten eggs against cement, how destroying something might distract her from how much she wants to hurt herself. All of this is to say that nobody will help until she has climbed down the BMI scale into a comatose state. I share with her the risks I took to be thin and cared for. Cool. So this next poem, I suppose, I've been to like a lot of therapy, of course, because I wouldn't be standing here without therapy, in fairness. But also, what I used to go to a lot of time, I used to go to group therapy. I used to love group therapy, because I don't know, there's just again just that sense of that you're not alone. At least with with the therapist, they're kind of looking at you and nodding and stuff. But at least if someone else is telling you like, yeah, I feel that stuff too, it's just really powerful. And I have a lot of friendships from that. Sometimes quirky, strange friendships. So this is about one of those friendships. Wednesdays, 5:30. Over coffee, I tell you I slept with some guy. You say it's strange I'm okay with touch. I reply, I was drunk. Forgetting your dad, who you don't talk about, but found mangled and sallow as turmeric on the kitchen tiles. You were 4. Instead, you gloat about women you find online, how you pee on their stomachs. When I don't react, you say, isn't there something erotic about urine? You might take one of them to Brazil for a week. Buy 9 of the same watch because you like how they tick, and tattoo your entire arm black. Darkness swallowing you limb by limb. I explain my panic attack at the Key Co-op. Everything gluten-free, plant-based, organic. I've been trying to learn there's nothing wrong with oats or wheat. You joke we should share a scone. Wait for my shoulders to stiffen and fingers to tremble. I confess I'm jealous of the clavicle that juts from my granny's chest, the gap between my cousin's legs under her communion dress. You nod. We ignore the ghosts on our backs. Tara, who left for St. Pat's. Jack with Om script on his wrists. Promise to meet, same time, same place. My boyfriend often comments that when I do readings, I stand up and act like he doesn't exist, because I'll introduce a poem by being like, this is a poem I wrote about this guy I was seeing once, and he'll be in the back of the room. So yeah, so I won't do that this time. And the poem I'm reading is called Attendance Award, because it's about, I suppose, I haven't been very well for the last few weeks. And my boyfriend has been really annoying and forcing me to take care of my dog, which is like not very, it's just not really, it's just really annoying. Because I'm very stubborn and I tend to work through illness, which, you just end up getting more sick. So this is kind of about that, and I've always been that way from a young age, because I don't know if when you were in school, if you had teachers being like pissed off at you if you were sick, like, which was really unhelpful. So you kind of just be forcing yourself to be well all the time. And also you were awarded if you didn't miss days, which is kind of ableist. But anyway, attendance award. I willed away a flu, picked chicken pox off my skin, held ice to my fevers, steam to my chills. I'd have done anything for the award that declared I was perfect. Never slept in or missed a roll call, a spelling test, a fire drill. Even now, outside the GP's, my love holds open the door of his Ford with the heat on full blast. He hands me a flask of lemon and hibiscus tea. Get in, he says, you're going to rest for the whole week. His tone unkind, ungiving of choice, knowing that to love me means fighting another louder voice. Just very last poem, which is called I feel like I just did the thing where I'll just do one more stanza.
You get an extra one there. Josh, you get the extra one.
This poem is called Hiding, and I suppose I still would struggle with my mental health, but obviously I'm doing a hell of a lot better, and I suppose that's just about that kind of grey, it's kind of about that grey space, which I think a lot of us exist in. Hiding. Mokushla holds a pillow over my face as a joke. This is how we love each other, knowing we can suffocate one another, but won't. He wants me to get up, eat sourdough with tapenade, climb Maisenhead to peer into the dark guts of the Atlantic, hover our ankles over the 50-meter gorge. But I have ruined every cliff walk, mountain trail, by calculating how many steps I can take, how much I can burn. It took so long to learn that I won't die if I sleep in or don't weigh the strain I inflict on the earth. Now all I want is a life of shut curtains and holding the cracked teacup of my body to his lips. The terrifying part is lifting the pillow, letting light back in. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Do you have copies of your collection with you, Molly? You don't, Jesus. So when I gave Molly, just gallery press online apparently, but when I gave Molly the little tap and said 2 minutes to go, she went, I'm on the last one, and Paul went to me, such a professional. But you didn't bring your books. Get that right the next time. Thank you so much, Molly. I'm sure I'm not the only one here. I'll end up clapping forever. I'm sure I'm not the only one in the room who's not just glad you're here as a guest poet, but just glad you're here, full stop. And I know, and I can only speak for myself, but the kind of honesty you express, I know is massively important to other people, no matter what kind of illness it is, whether it's a mental illness, an eating disorder, a diagnosis of cancer, grief, whatever it is. That's kind of honest, open reading of a personal experience is absolutely priceless. So thank you and congratulations. Now, we are going to take a break. Isn't that right, Paul Casey? The open mic list is here. We have one name on it already. I'll leave it here just for come down, write your names on the right-hand side. You can't get too lost. Jesus, relax a small bit there. Can we have one more massive round of applause for our two guest poets, please? No, if you want to go on the open mic, you can start writing your name down now. You're not going to be assaulted there.
I'll let her. Great times, great times.
Stan, you look like the Doctor Who of Cork, you know that? Yeah, the Time Lord, the Irish Time Lord. Cue to read poems.
You know not what number you're gonna pick.
I thought you just kind of went. Or I guess you could just say I'm the guy.
Well, I think that's what's been going on so far, which I actually liked it.
Yeah. What do you think?
3 is a magic number.
3? Yeah, nice one. I think I'll do 5. Sounds good.
So is it an actual scooter or is it a sit down? It's like, yeah, she needs to like, but it must be embarrassing though. Yeah, in a way. How does it work? There and then there? Is that,
No, that's 5 words. That's the open mic list.
okay. So I'm to put Colin down as well. So I write a note, or I'll just speak to him maybe.
Oh God,
Your hair is
am I last? Oh no, I'm not last. Yes.
It was like first fortnight. Yeah, shame. It's a busy night. I know.
Sorry, make it enough work.
Of course. You know we need
I will wait for them.
We should talk about everything. Is it true? Some of it is. You know, that moment when you're like, oh yeah. You know, because only have my only when your parents are because my feeling is just thinking about so one share aspect
when the years were like, oh, not from afar. I was like, thank you. Exactly that. And then she will follow up with, come here. Well, so basically, that was every time I just didn't know what.
Like share. Sure. Like share.
Do you want to go second or 20th? I'm easy, you pick.
I'm down, but I want to push myself up.
Right. Oh, I see.
So this is me.
Kemi, GS. Number 2?
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
And I'll take Kemi's spot then. Perfect.
Sorry?
I'll take your spot then, that's perfect.
Oh, yeah,
Cool. And you're going here, Carl. Oh, just lock yourself in there. Perfect. Nice job. No hassle. The claustrophage.
You know what those look?
Claustrophage.
Well, they're selling them. These were all yours. Did you wish? Oh, perfect.
Oh, sorry, yeah, and that's yours as well, yeah, sorry.
Do you have Stan's book?
No, I don't.
Now you have it.
I have two of them.
Two Stan's books, and you've got Victoria Kingfish and Dean Brown there as well.
Oh, yes.
And the other one you have already, but you can give that away. Whatever.
Yeah, I will, actually.
So sorry, no, we don't, you know, it's not.
No, I just wanted to know. It's fine.
I can't believe it's your first time winning something.
Yeah.
I literally can't believe it's your first time winning.
I'm not finished with this yet, but again, Alexandra, she's in Greece.
Yeah.
It's fucking very nice. She needs to go first.
Okay.
But before everyone else. And then, then it doesn't matter where you intersperse those three.
Okay.
But we'll get more names for you.
One of my driving cars is the fight of dogs. Why? Because at the time, the government was saying people who are buying these things for tax credits. had the house directly opposite to the castle. And you know what? When you go to the right There was some damage from back in the day, actually, around the yeah, James Frank, yeah, that's cute. Like him to probably tell him about it, link it all up with that generation. I don't remember Tommy was there. I used to see that. I have one there. Maybe it's not. I'm not the new one. I love this. My sister.
Well, we could.
Where's the here?
We need to be done by half an hour.
I saw you in the camera. That's great. There. You're here.
Oh no, that's I'm getting this, yeah.
Yes. The only people I don't know.
Okay, folks, we're going to crack on whenever you're ready, which is now. Okay, guys, we're ready to crack on with the final section of the night, which is the open mic. We have quite a long list. There will be a little bit of jigging around because people have different needs, so wherever you are on the list you may not appear exactly in that number. That's okay. Don't let that discourage you from sharing your words, for awing us with your wonderful talents. We want to hear it all. We're going to kickstart in Greece because it's a modern world. We can do this. It's very late in Greece, and Alexandra is going to share her piece with us before to start the open mic. So off we go.
Hello, Happy New Year, everyone. Flying 14. Bring it on, life, every precarious safe haven, every toiling accomplished goal. Arcadians, children of the pre-lunar era. Your struggles, my struggles, entwining around each other. Pain sweetening through sharing. Waiting through centuries of darkness. For a miracle to shine. Beams of dreams escaping the narrow bars of reality. Our labored sweat, our bitter patience, dissolving our struggles into the salt of the tear. Bring it on, life, every shatterable righteous law, every daggered jubilant victory. Agathodemons, children of the absolute word. Your truths, my truths, powering around each other. Eternal debt for the unjust. Eternal gratitude for the just. Lightning condemnation of injustice. Defying mortality, determined to win all battles. Fiery anger sung by muses. Kindling our truths into the tip of the flame. Bring it on, life, every fluctuating precious bond, every undulating sweet desire. Heteroluminescence, children of the solar cosmos. Your light, my light, shimmering around each other. Distancing in cold alienation. Connecting in warm communion. Our sacred mating reflecting infrared wavelengths. Invisible bright frequencies, shapes and colors becoming visible. Absorbing and transmitting photons. Rippling our light into the foam of the wave. Bring it on, life, every delicate fine-spun artistry, every frenzied blissful awakening. Dionysians, children of a primordial orbit. Your passions, my passions, creating around each other. Art flooding with hues of emotions. Every aesthetic touch guaranteeing endless splendor. Ideal voices and thoughts. Soaring like seagulls between land and sea. Carrying elevated ideas through space and time. Raising our passions into the upsurging of the spirit. Bring it on, life, every vulnerable, steadfast vision, every evanescent, ultimate flight. Apollonians, children of the winged evolution. Your quintessence, our quintessence, goldening around each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra. There's a line in that. Your truths are truths powering around us. Now, that's down to the next human being to keep that going. So, Rosalind Crowley, share your truths.
Thank you.
Is that okay, High School?
I'll try it here. Just checking on the mic there. Thank you. Since Meg's Cretan gave a shout out to me, I want to say shout out to her and thank you to her brother Joe, who gave me 2 hours of storytelling down in Cretan's Hotel this last week. My poem that I'd like to read tonight is called When I Was Young. When I was young, my mother never owned a washing machine. She had 2 hands that lathered soap, then scrubbed, rinsed and squeezed out water. Cold as ice, she shook them until the wrinkles dropped. With pegs between her lips, she carefully released one at a time. Garments were hung out to dry, where wind, then rain, and wind again would make the clean clothes fly. The finer lace she would lay flat. Later, she would steal a look from time to time to see if dried. At end of day, she unpegged the trove of clothes and brought them in to fold. Familiar scene across Ireland. Another day, another way, a mother showed her love. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosalind. I read a book a number of years ago that talked about how our mental health is affected by the modern world, and one of the things that they pointed out in the book was that many practices, such as washing hands by clothes, are now gone out of our life, including walking to and from work, and those meditative practices being taken away from us as such was detrimental in some ways. I'm not suggesting we all go back to washing clothes by hand. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just pointing out that it's good for your mental health. Now, there's a woman here who has a pre-teen and a teen at home, and she needs to get back to them, so we've bumped her up the open mic list. Jemmy, now let me get this right. Kemi GS.
So, this poem's it's about my mother as well. And I suppose it's not really about mental health, but about mental decline and maybe accepting it. So it's called 90 in December. If only I'd frozen you at 50, caught that determined stride, unencumbered by the severe limp, one hip rebellious to your hourglass, protruding bulge in a liquid flow, though neighbours and acquaintances marvelled at your speed, even years struggled to keep pace. If only I'd frozen you at 50, I could carry you around like a worthy monument, life-sized icon for grandchildren to adore, before the stroke, before the wait, before Honeygate, before septicemia, pneumonia, before constant falling and the undeniable, perpetually denied D. Now your determination pushes forth sentences with the force of a zealous academic, but your voice is faint, encumbered by goiter and dither. Words lose their way, right in the middle of a simple tale. Feet mimic, shuffling behind that frame, headed to the bathroom, shocked to find themselves in the bedroom. If only I'd frozen you at 50, my children would have worshipped at your feet. Your encyclopedic love of the classics, vibrant fingers painting keys with complex rhythms, your vast multisyllabic vocabulary, wielding both English and Yoruba with a proverb for every twist and strike of life. But now they ask, what did Grandma say? Why does she have a piano but cannot play? Your will, as relenting as a motorway flattening the countryside, you would have put them straight. But now, bent over, eating your onion, you smile, fixed onto the middle distance, the radio on. Hymns head you, scriptures rise like thurible smoke, paving paths to pain-free worship. Of course you know you're losing it. Brain has sidestepped its frontal lobe, but mouths that see your warm eyes cannot resist an upturn. If I'd frozen you at 50, preserved that speed, it would have injured more joy. Always too busy for school plays and sports days, rants stronger than the currents of the Niger. Grandchildren would have drowned like us in a merciless surge. But now we can bob in warm hugs and tender touch. Now we can celebrate audacity, ever fueled to accomplish potential they said you did not have. Yes, we mourn the shrivel, we mourn the battle, but look, we are turned out in the bling of your histories. Patient with relentless repetitions, our ears ring from your bright, continued declarations. I will be 90 in December. I am 90 this year. Today, I'm 90.
Thank you, Kemi. And I would say that's about mental health, because I think one of the things that we don't maybe pay enough attention to is that people surrounded by that surround people who are unwell, whether that's end of life or whether they're dealing with, as Molley's first speech touched on, a child who's struggling with an eating disorder, or in my own case, my family trying to live with what was at times a raving lunatic. So yeah, lovely piece. Thank you very much. And on that wonderful note, upbeat to Paul Dillon. Is that okay?
That seems okay. I have two short poems I'd like to read. The first is FFFFFG. After months of campaigning, they changed the name of Passport Express to Post Passport, reflecting the slower turnaround times associated with post applications. And in departure lounges as villa owners and visa holders clamour for escape, thanks are expected. When asked what's next, A&E to wait and see, the homeless will influence decisions. Have you seen our camps of porta-cabins behind fences? But the question on everyone's mind is, will the new postcards still say, "Greetings from sunny Ireland"? Or the dead don't speak, but their bones sing history, and the dying will be heard. Spring is the smile of the many. Over the belt of navy suits, white or pale blue shirts, black shoes, side-parted hair, he shunned Armani, laid gloves on the bourgeoisie. His baggy trousers were solidarity, ill-fitting shirts were pans of bread. Personal style was his liberty and threat to national security. In a world transformed, red and green returned, and we danced like freedom fighters at COVID's end. If we rose like flowers, his general triangular shoulders would find the missing piece. Spring is the smile of the many on the corner of his mouth. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Nothing to do with your poem, but I like the shoes, man. Follow those shoes, Daniel. Follow those shoes, Daniel.
So, before I moved here, my closest connection to Ireland was my grandmother. And she would talk about how she was from Mayo. She would talk about how she sailed from Cove when she was 17, alone and malnourished, but she didn't talk about very much else. So now that I'm here, I'm trying to learn. I'm reading, I'm paying attention, I'm listening, I'm watching, and this poem is about that. I asked my grandmother when I was young if it was the famine that changed her course. She slapped me playfully as if I was cheeky, not merely ignorant of history. And she went on to tell me tales of her father returning from winter work with blood sausages to make up the absence. And she would greet us on those mornings frying up leftover breads nearly stale so we could go off with the taste of something, or ensuring that we ate more than we need whenever we'd stop to visit so we could return for a healthy hug. Over the years, we learned when we celebrate, it's over cake. When we connect, it's at a feast. After her funeral, we fed our sorrows with sandwiches in the church basement, another lifetime away. And now I'm working on simplicity, filling needs with simpler joys, basic ingredients with better spice, finding nourishment in the written word as I listen to you express your hunger for feeling softer than the trauma. Another who felt too big for the world and sacrificed to be something less, numbing yourself with nothing. I don't know what brought this on, but I think I understand now. I've always had enough. I came from a land of excess, and still, even I wake to my stomach growling. Thank you.
Very nice, Daniel. Very nice indeed. We're going to jump onto Zoom to the country you left, Pam Campbell.
Hi, y'all.
Hopefully this won't be as complicated as the last time you were there, Pam.
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Well, I wanted to thank Paul. This poem was born in his imagery creative writing class that I took, and the Blue Mondays group that chewed on it as well. So here we go. A good disturbance. Raindrops drum gray earth black, releases petrichor. Petra, Greek for stone, and ichor, the golden fluid coursing the veins of the gods, musk the air. I climb the mountain high above troublesome creek, seeking that which cannot be seen. Breath labored, heart pounding, ground and sky dizzy spins. Will I die on this mountain this day? Still I push upward, serpentine sideways walking, a how-to tip earned in an unexpected slide. And then, when my body can bear no more, earth spreads like a welcoming picnic blanket to Deer Clip Meadow, surrounded by yet undisturbed native trees. American beech stubborn holds its fall leaves, whisper sings its past and winter winds, and rust tinges summer. Red maple blends against white pine, understoried by eastern redbud, heart-shaped leaves. Is that a pawpaw, or memory wishing it so? Mountain breathes a stream of cave-like cooled air, brushes cheek and teases sweat-curled hair. Wood thrush haunting Eolay threads with hooded warblers, weeda, 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 T-O. Carolina wren tea kettles her response. One very mortal woman weeps. Thank you.
Thank you, Pam. We're kind of on a roll in that part of the world. JJF is next.
Yeah, I have a 3-letter moniker as well. So there we go. But yeah, I do have to mention, Stan already kind of brought this up, but I have a show at the Franciscan Well called Pros and Woes 5, which is a poetry show. It's free. You should come out. It's January 25th, Wednesday, at the upstairs room of the Franciscan Well. It's me, it's my friend Jamie O'Shea, it's Fergus Costello, who most of you know, and surprise mystery guest. I have to talk to some of you tonight and figure that out. But anyway, but I'm going to do one most of you have heard, but some of you haven't, so there you go. This poem is short. This poem is sad. And this poem is about sex. This poem is called Short Sad Sex Poem. We hadn't seen each other in some time, yet you sent me a risque text last week, asking if I was fine. It's currently 3 a.m, and you do like a bit of late night light nicotine. So I light up a pair of cigarettes after sex. We each take a puff slick with sweat. I see you blush and know that for you the rush of regret comes next. Neither one of us came, so the unspoken question still hangs. What does come next? That went unanswered, and you took the next cab home. So this is it, my short, sad sex poem.
Thank you, JJF. 25th of January, free poetry. If you're a poet and you want to say some of your words and not get paid for it, have a chat with him. You might get paid for it, but that's the way the world works, Niall, isn't it? We're looking for a poet. We'll do it for free. 1,000 hands up in the air immediately. We value ourselves so much. Now, 25th of January, he's looking for a guest poet, so have a chat with him. I think we're still in America. Are we, Abigail? Are we still in America? Sorry a second. I've introduced her incorrectly. I have to give her a full title as written down on the open mic list. Please welcome Abigail Kay.
Oh, yeah, fine. Okay. I wrote this for a class that I took this semester, so my teacher said it was okay, so hopefully she was right. Letter to the widow, seen in the grocery store for the first time since March. Were you the one that found the body? I don't mean cut it down, or put 2 fingers to its neck in search of churning blood, or bent down to feel for empty breath on a cheek, or dragged it in like a cat playing with a limp chipmunk, tail bobbing up and down as the cat gnaws like it were still alive. I mean, was it you who, in the sterile, even light of the morgue, stared into his blank face and claimed his bloated blue body, saying with a wobbling smile, "That's him, that's my love." When the wind returned, did it blow up from the north, stinging, like falling through ice on a lake, ice that was always meant to cave in, like waking up to a pitcher of water in your face, like breathing for the first time and inhaling water? Or did it feel like spring, like pushing flopping wet strings of hair out of your face, like catching a glimpse of sunlight sparkling against the surface of water, and pushing up against the silty bottom with your toes, like coming up for air and being met with birdsong? Did you grab at it, desperate and panicked for the breath of a god you call yourself, a breath you'd been bending down to hear with wax in your ears? Or did it drift into your lap, a falling hickory leaf floating down to kiss your hands and pull you out of bed? The death of a star starts at the center and works its way out, leaving giants in its wake that scream and rail and howl until they explode in a burst of soundless light, and they suck in for air one last time as their love work settles like space ash. I wonder, did you? Thank you.
Thank you, Abigail. Patricia Walsh.
This is kind of broadly about mental health. So it's called Thin Autobiographical. The thin autobiographical erasing its journey. The goodly concern runs over this time. Visiting on the job, a technical necessity. Running into avoided scenarios worth telling. Feeling rain on the skin covered by hands. The preferred form, drunk eventually. The defunct visionary, a geographical prerogative. Sorting vicarious debacles in jig time. Advising the odds to the slitted wrist. The facetious oddball stops fighting what's corner. No time to worry, associates excused. Stalked into a corner, spiking the disease. Copyright costs and a biting ill wind. Purchase sketches for friends, needing to sleep. Miffed at favoritism, walking a heartbeat. Writing out of a boredom-shaped hole, instinct aside. Instantly gratified, a question of taste. dangerously eating dinner without the meat, electrified blood congealed in his own poison, attractive persuasions over salad and drink. Not minding issues, going straight for the kill, finding soft veins for the needle to fly through, loving at naught, thrown by the light, a martyr for the application, ragged as it is, screaming through blood, needing its window. Thank you.
Thanks, Patricia. Actually, when Patricia came up to the microphone, I realised Patricia has a couple of books out as well, which reminded me that I forgot to remind you that Luke said to me at the break his books are still available at €15 each, but he'd quite gladly do a deal and give you 2 for 30 tonight, just for tonight. A special deal. Isn't that right, Luke? No. Can we have Philip Spillane next, please?
Thank you very much. So I'm playing around with this imagery at the moment. It's called Salmon. It's based off the salmon of knowledge, but in a different interpretation. And it's a poem that needs a lot of work, but feedback is welcome. It made me go transparent when the tip of my thumb was cut by a shard of glass. It was hot, a scale of a salmon's coat. The world became technicolor. When I closed my eyes, a kaleidoscope spun. But if I focused, I saw salmon leap against a rainbow waterfall into velvet and indigo. The blood was few. People asked what happened, but I saw through them. When I sucked my thumb, I saw the lie behind every laugh, and the shameful love crash behind a wrinkle, the type that a person is confused about. When my company fell from sight, they became shadows in the dark. Their thoughts layered over and over and over, and I did not trust anything. I always doubt the answers, feared it. I got 8 fingers and 1 extra thumb and a golden touch. See the scar where the glass bit me. The same salmon, hands on the window of Maureen's pub. I remember her eyes the most. It was a window covered with damp. If I could kiss each brow, then our lips would be covered in knowledge. Only it's the right thumb, scarred and confused. Thanks.
Excellent, Philip. Work in progress. He's looking for feedback. Don't give the feedback from the open mic if you're on it between now and the end of the night. Just read your poem. You can do the feedback later on over a pipe somewhere else. I say that because Carl Holden is next and he's got a tendency to get excited. Isn't that right, Carl?
How are we doing that? So this poem, I promise, is not a threat. I'm writing a series, and we're actually going to get this comic book artist to illustrate it. So it's a bit of fun, but it's in collaboration with these guys called OX Cthulhu, who are a Cthulhu-based web production house. There's some stuff going on that I'm just here to write stuff. That's all it is. But this one is called The Poet. I have another few. One of them is called Grandma. I love Grandma. Grandma, it wouldn't work to read on the mic, but she's an old lady who gets possessed by the devil. She's fucking great crack. But this one's The Poet, and it's a poem, so I thought I might bring it down here. Maybe next month, appropriately for Valentine's Day, I might come down to episode 2, where we summon Cthulhu. The city is a mausoleum. My room is as a tomb of dreams. The insurance payout's nearly spent. I am 6 weeks behind the rent. There is a rat inside the wall. He does not pay the rent at all. My work is dry, but I am not. I drink the hours off the clock. I rise closer to dusk than dawn. Her ring is all I've left to pawn. It is as heavy in my hand as memories I cannot stand. in the pawn shop down on Wednesday Street, beneath a flock of old guitars, I sell a fragment of my soul in the lonely, sad bazaar. The money's fine, a month of rent, or a fortnight high in Merlin's bar. There is a book enshrined behind the glass. I cannot tear my eyes away. A notebook, I hear my own voice ask, how much? I hear my new voice say. A ripple as of hot desert sand passes through my beating head. The owner puts it in my hands. His eyes say things he hasn't said. I take my wages to the bar. Of course I did. I always do. I sit beside a wrinkled tart, 2 stuffy suits, a fruit machine. There is scotch inside the jar. The jukebox plays a tragic theme. I wonder how they keep themselves from despair, the calling void. I raise a glass to no one else, a bitter little toast to joy. My joy was her, for her to write. Tomorrow, at the poetry night, they'll laugh when I stand to the mic. The notebook burns inside my coat, like cash, a gun, a scab, a loose unstitching thread. I take it out. The curious inscription says, "This soul unto Nyarlathotep." It seems a little like a game. Above the script, I write my name. I never fight. It's not my thing. Yet I've never felt quite so alive. It's not my nature, never have I been as I was in Merlin's bar last night. I unplugged the jukebox, punched the tart, knocked the false teeth from her head, kicked the suits and bit the barman, glassed the doorman, turned and fled. I ran, full gone and pumping sweat. I broke the windows on the street. I felt a fire in my heart. The fury was so honey sweet. I sang out loud in ancient poems. I stole a policeman's horse and rode it home. The Navajo have words for me. Some know me by another name. I pour my poison in your soul. You will never be the same. A tragic life was yours, my friend. Your tragedies have yet to end. What's yours is mine. What's mine is you. Rest. We have such work to do. I woke last night in sleepless dream. I wrote in an unceasing stream. Nothing was as though it seemed. In hell the devil heard me scream. I stalk the city all the day. I cannot rest or eat a crumb. The people do not see the power. They know not what I've become. Now I'm down the open mic, speaking the forbidden words. The ground beneath me starts to crack. The horizon bends and curls. I call the ancient ones from sleep. They rise as terrors from the deep. The audience politely clap. They click their fingers in their seats. The void opens a dreadful rift. They fall into his cruel beak. Azazoth has come to eat. From here I shall do as I like. I take a bow. I drop the mic. I button up my coat and dust it down. I leave the wreckage on a cloud. The fire and police are on their way. They'll blame the thing on gas, of course. I feel a rush, the strangest power, and only fragments of remorse. Thank you. Again, not a threat.
If that felt a little autobiographical to some of the people in the room, I'm sure it was completely accidental. Not all poets behave like that. I'll tell you, Cal, will you go away and write a poem that is titled that this poem is not a threat? That's genius. This poem is not a threat. Okay, we're going to back on Zoom. Massimo is next.
Hey, can you hear me okay? All right, good. That's what's up. So if I had one verse for all that I've learned, I'd say what is real and what's not's absurd. The truth is beyond any name called or heard. One could even say God is too small a word. If I had another verse for more that I could learn, it's just how to be happy and let the world turn. To be born's a gift, not a fortune one can earn. If you think you don't deserve it, that is yours to discern. And if I had another verse for what I was forced to learn, I'd say that a hand in the fire is sure to burn. Wisdom's not a lover to be courted and then spurned. She's more like a mother whose love is warm but stern. And if I had another verse for what I never learned, it's how the existence of difference first occurred. Why is there darkness? How is light first obscured? And why does pleasure turn to pain when returned? But sometimes all I learned is that I learned a lesson. Wiser than the answer is to wisely choose the question. How can I ask for secrets of the earth and heaven if I've never even seen my own face with no reflection? But these are just points I've observed, made guessing. Proverbs are turned into words, but made stepping. I heard wisdom can't just be served, it takes testing. So anything I serve, I've been served while taste testing. But I don't want any more wisdom, its weight's pressing. As gray grows long in my beard, my days lessen. As a child, I would play and pray my days lengthened. But now more than then, innocence is the greatest blessing. As a child, I would pray that I would strengthen. But now I just pray that love is strong enough to save me while I'm resting. And thank you so much. Always an honor to be here. Peace. All right.
Thank you, Massimo. Next up is the man who is running a poetry film course in Ashton School very shortly, Colin Scully.
Thanks, Stan. I think the people taking down the Christmas decorations have moved onto the street. But it's cold out tonight, so it could snow, you'd never know. This poem is called The Big Snow. And just like someone read a couple of a poem a while ago, it's actually about my mother and a conversation I had with my mother. She died last year, but she was 92 when she died. But this is called The Big Snow. Do you remember the big snow, I ask? You remember all of them. 47. Horses pull coffins over frozen ground. 2 weeks before a man can be buried. The wells frozen. The army tied to barracks while the turf ran out. You're at typing school, Miss Lombard's, making your way up Patrick's Hill. Your further socks pulled over patent pumps, digging your heels into the ice. Shorthand copy squeezed under your arm, dreaming of your first job. 82. ESPmen out on the pylons. Soldiers deliver water off the back of trucks. The Commons Road 100-metre ski slope for fertiliser bags and school sacks. You keep your youngest home. A housewife 20 years. You hold the house while we're off playing. The mobile grocery van arrives through heavy drifts with spuds and sausages. Your saviour from Fairhill. And then the last, 2018. Schools closed for 5 days, no bread. Queues for wine outside the service station. You phone to tell us, stay indoors, don't cross the city. The roads are treacherous, cars abandoned. A child was killed in the fall in Farnree. 'Tis worse than 47. You're nearly 90. Your peers are dead. You won't see weather like this again. The slushy mountains, tall to black, along the roadside.
Thanks, Colin. I remember the 82 one. We were snowboarding on, I don't know, trays or something up in the airport. It was great fun. Sue Blue is next.
Thanks very much. I brought a poem that I wrote at one of the workshops in the Winter Warmer Festival. What was her name again? Yairen, thank you very much. Yeah, that was her workshop. And she had one prompt there. We were speaking about a poem, God, forgetting all the names, a poem, I should be knowing whose poem, on glass delusion, and the actual glass delusion is actually a term for a mental illness where a person believes that they're made of glass, and this arose in the Middle Ages when glass was invented and afflicted, among others, Charles VI of France. And yeah, this prompt inspired this poem, Glass Delusion. When I was young, I believed my face a page, transparent, each line projecting emotions like words, spilling my secrets. Schoolmates poked fears and loves without mercy, dragging frustration and anger to light, smashing my vulnerability to ground, stomped into muddy puddles. I wept as I cloaked myself in frizzy wild hair, hiding what remains to this day. My heart diaphanous to the laser-sharp eyes, my soul dissected by their measures. If I were of glass, I would fragment to a zillion splinters beneath the X-rays of the entitled, shards so stabbing you'd bleed. I shatter, crystal crash, crescendos my cry. Clothe me in darkness, kill the light.
Very nice, Roz, very nice indeed. Now we're moving into a different stage on the open mic. This is the stage where people have rock star names. First name is Roxanne. Only one name, Roxanne.
Sorry, the poem disappeared. There we go. So for the open mic, I told you not to believe anything. The 5-word challenge, I told you not to believe anything. You can believe everything of this one. And yeah, it's just a kind of backup of the last week. And I'm gonna try not to cry, but it's very emotional. And it's in English and it rhymes. So I keep progressing every time I participate here. So I'm glad. It's a 6 minutes melody. Please God, it soothes my anxiety. A fear woke me thrice nightly. Will the plane leave without me? I looked at myself thinking you're tiny, but the curves came and I'm happy. Distance did help with you, Daddy. Your Christmas gift is I'm sorry. A world opens for me to be, likewise as for 7 puppies. Earth's rejoice for 2023. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Roxanne. Now, winning the 5-word challenge has terrible effects on people. Some people decide that they no longer want to be known by the actual name on the open mic. They decide they're going to reinvent themselves and no longer be Cedric, but be the claustrophage or something. What is it? The claustrophage? Well, how do you pronounce it? You'll have to tell us when you get up here. Anyway, our current 5-word challenge champion under new guise, Cedric.
That's one way to dodge it. It's claustrophage.
Yeah, go on. Explain.
Actually, it doesn't really have a meaning. It's not really a word, but
It's
it's more.
rock star. That's it.
Exactly.
Cedric does not have meaning.
My mom says that too. No, it's okay. It's staying down. It's an introspection on what really fuels me to write, and the conclusion was basically that I like gnawing at my inner boundaries to basically find new things about myself. So basically those small enclosed spaces within. So claustro, which is the enclosed space, and phage for eating them. So the claustrophage. This one is inspired from a real event, but I'm not that terrible of human being. Also, the other thing is the title is inspired of something that happens a lot in France. If you go to a hair salon, they tend to have very silly names that are actually puns for including the word hair basically in it, and it's very silly. So this one is titled Adult Hair. Slender, stretching down, even, irregular. I can't find the end yet. You haven't noticed. It's beautiful, if I must answer myself candidly. Unlike its tip, my feelings are split. Should I tell you? I want to tell you, but I also want to look at it more, wonder at the sparkles of the light it catches and releases, and the memories it triggers. Heavy breath and the rhythm of waves on the hidden strands. You wouldn't enjoy it. We should try it sometimes. Because I want to stay in your heart, and you out of mine, I will show you the streaming blonde hair. It's missing its roots, just like our problem. Your confusion is to me enough pain, so I will explain. I don't know where it comes from.
Ladies and gentlemen, the claustrophage. Now, this next reader doesn't have a rock star name, but they are a rock star. Jim Cricket. Don't start singing, Pete.
Thank you kindly, Stan. So this poem I'm going to do is going to be in the next Cork Words anthology. It's called A Cyborg Tries Online Dating with Grindr. Target identified. Discreet, elderly gentleman, effaced by Microsoft Paint. Compromising user's Facebook account, intimating interest. Good evening, Mr. Walsh. I am interested in making your acquaintance. Your feline pet is aesthetically pleasing. How is your wife? Mr. Walsh replies that he got lost on the internet. User denying mating advances. Blocking Mr. Walsh. Subject is trying to deflect from sexuality or is technologically inept. The truth does not interest me. Running diagnostics for finding love. Create enticing profile. Option 1, topless photograph of self in bathroom mirror. Memo, contact manufacturer for muscle upgrade. Option 2, photo of self imbibing alcohol with human companions. Error, do not have any human companions. Option 3, photograph of self smiling with Mr. Walsh's feline pet photoshopped into my arms. Image uploaded and approved. Phase 3. Users are sending me images of their pelvic appendages. Scanning response protocol. User behavior defies my programming. Responding to users with images of my serial number and headphone jack. Users are blocking me. Interest expressed by one software engineer. My interest is not reciprocated. Potential for gaslighting too high. Users are online, but nobody's writing to me. Initiating self-doubt sequence. Considering deletion of Grindr, Conversations initiated 1.7 million. Reciprocated 12. All users have initiated ghosting rejection strategy. Exception. The software engineer contacts me every day, despite my lack of response. Love not found on Grindr. No connection available. No connection available. No connection available. Initiate stare out window wistfully sequence. I have one new message. Opening user profile. Subject has goofy expression and is wearing chef hat. Subject pictured with aesthetically pleasing feline with paws dipped in cake frosting. Attraction level spiking. Attraction meter malfunctioning. Digital heartbeat is racing. Opening message. Hello, fellow cyborg. My name is Model 543219I. But you can call me Roger. Would you like to converse in robotic code? Yes. 1,800 conversations completed in under 3 seconds. One new message from Roger. Unbelievable, you were the first person I've contacted since joining Grindr 0.5 minutes ago. Initiating joke sequence. In golfing terms, you have scored a hole-in-one. One new message from Roger. Here is a hot pic of my headphone jack. Thanks. Thank you.
Any doubt that O'Vale has empathetic audiences was dispelled in the middle of that when we got a deep awe from the back of the room about a fictional robot trying to find love on Grindr. Oh, we're going to go online, rather appropriately, we're going to go online to Ryan Morgan for the next contribution.
Hi everyone. Okay, so I'm a dad of 3 kids, and this is a poem about what I wish I'd said in one of those moments. It's called Parental Guilt. I'm sorry I'm always shouting. I'm sorry I interminably hector. I'm sorry I'm continually hounding. I'm sorry when I point out your errors. You're a capable and valuable person. Your best is better than my own. You're allowed to make a few errors, son. You're blessed as your mistakes make you grow. There's no law that says be good at everything, or that perfection in all things must be maintained. You have talents in abundance beyond imagining, and you'll develop them according to your own aims. I lecture you at every opportunity about what you should and shouldn't do. Though I disavow my own advice with impunity, though I know I haven't a clue. I don't know who I think I am to so fearlessly take the high ground. At your age, I'd broken all but one of God's commands. In hypocrisy, I should drown. I was useless when I was at your age. I was constantly cloaking my terror. I was a weather vane of insecure rage. I was a liar who could have done better. You are a soul of character and principle. Your moral compass points to the North Star. You can be trusted under pressure to be ethical. Being good is encrusted into what you are. Shouting and critical commentary were woven on my familial heirloom, but you'll pierce the generational tapestry, snip the thread of our cacophonous cocoon. You're more together than I was at your age. Hell, you're better than me right now. Just know that when I snarl in outrage, it's due to discerning my own inadequacy somehow. You're enough, though, more than enough. You're tough, but don't gnaw yourself rough. though I roar and huff, know your every atom is loved. There you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Great last line. Know your every atom is loved. Now, Shauna Lee Lynch.
No. Hello, everybody. I wrote this in the last 24 hours, so you can judge me accordingly. Like most people who wrestle with anxiety or depression, I have a great affiliation towards self-help books. And this is what this is about. I mentioned some names of self-help books, but I don't think you really need to know them to get it. Noon, January 2nd. The self-help section of Waterstones. My holy place, my Mecca. I come here often. Usually I worship alone. Today a congregation has formed. Must be the time of year. Like antelope at a watering hole, we have come here seeking nourishment. I hang back and observe the new parishioners. Everyone keeps their distance, surveying the titles in monastic silence. No one picks anything up, for that would reveal your ailment. I love the self-help section of Waterstones. Between these two shelves holds so much hope. It's like Lourdes. Here is a promise that you can get better. You can recover. Forgive yourself. Forgive your mother. You can find love, find God, get richer, get stronger, be happy. The self-help section of Waterstones is the perfect place to meet someone. Why wait until a few months in for the person to expose their neuroses? Just look at the book they're holding. It would save so much time. I'd like to live in the self-help section of Waterstones, form a cave beneath the new release table, like a stoic retail troll. I'd make a bed out of atomic habits and the unexpected joy of being sober. For substance, I'd tear pages from books and eat them. Words like abundance dissolve like candy floss. Manifest is chewy. Excess radiating causes heartburn. I'd hiccup back up gratitude. People could visit me, describe to me their grievances. I'd prescribe big magic or the new Brené Brown. I'd like to make love in the self-help section of Waterstones. Untamed, next to the subtle art of not giving a fuck. I could give birth in the self-help section of Waterstones. Create a whole new person, a new earth. I could die in the self-help section of Waterstones, come back an untethered soul, be reincarnated into the monk who sold his Ferrari. For anything here is possible. It's a liminal space, nirvana. The books have not yet been bought, not yet abandoned halfway through because they feel impossible to commit to. It has not yet been realized that the world is often trickier and more complex than some of these books seem to address. Or these books really could change your life. Just one piece of advice could flip your whole perspective. These pages could be the catalyst to make your dreams come true. That's what's so fantastic about the self-help section of Waterstones. It's a portal into the unknown. We stand at the equilibrium of disappointment and glory, and it's beautiful that we've all found ourselves here at the start of another new year together, active in our pursuit of making our lives better. Thanks.
Ah, I too was that man. I'm just thinking what I went to Waterstones in January of 2008. Yeah, with all my gift vouchers for Christmas to get a whole series of self-help books. That was when I began the journey of trying to handle depression. And the two books I bought that day, I'm just thinking about somebody looking over their shoulder, were Understanding Depression and A Day Called Hope by Gareth O'Callaghan, which is a phenomenal read, right? But if you knew the content and you saw somebody buying, you'd be saying, okay, never ever fucking hang out with them. So thanks, Shauna. Thanks, Shauna. So weird things happen at the O'Vale. People adopt rock star names, and then you get these weirdos coming down from up the fucking country with rock star names and deciding they're not going to put their rock star name on the open mic. They've gone for the full handle, Stephen James Smith. The audacity of the man. SJS.
Excuse me, my name's Stephen, like, you know. Cool, thanks. Actually, a book that really helped me, if you want another one for the self-help section, like I joke and I don't joke because it saved me life, is a book called Constellations by David White. And I bought about 30 copies of that in 2015 and gave it out to people because of the impact it had on me. And they're just like little essays, like 800 words on a word like robust, and you think, oh, I know what robust means. And then you read this and you kind of go, oh, fuck, okay. And it really helped me. And he's got another thing called The Poetry of Self-Compassion, which is about a half an hour talk. And you'll find that on SoundCloud in 2 parts like that. I listen to that a few times a year because I always forget these things. You have these epiphanies and then you fucking forget it all, you know. But anyway, I'll do a poem. Oh, and if anybody is around in Dublin, Wexford, Dublin or Belfast this Thursday, Friday or Saturday, we have Buddy Wakefield, who was an amazing poet, like unbelievable. Paul helped get him out to Ireland in 2007. He won the World Poetry Slam Championships 3 times in a row, retired undefeated. Poetry Slam's a bit of a gimmick, but it's a bit of crack. It's a gateway drug into poetry, do you know what I mean? But he is unbelievable. He's absolutely exceptional. So if you're around this Thursday, Friday or Saturday, come along the tour. He's worth coming along to see. Anyway, this is a poem. There's been loads of poems about mothers and stuff like that. This is a poem that I wrote after a conversation I had with my dad, and I wrote it on St. Bridget's Day, and it's called Saintly Sister. Oh, to have another pair of eyes, for a different perspective and ways of seeing this world. What colour would yours be? Mine. A greeny blue, a hue not lost on you. Teenage trauma led to a black eye and an eventual cataract, blurring my vision and depth of field. Ironic. Poets are meant to be prophetic, but I didn't see that punch coming, nor did I expect to be knocked by the answer to my question. Would you like grandchildren? I asked my father. I'd have liked a daughter, he said. And with that, a loss I never knew existed, my unknown skin and blister, a sister, a figment of imagination, a regret, an unborn sibling, one to rival with, be the apple of his eye no matter how hard I try. So I write this for you, sister, on this saintly day. So I'll call you Bridget, Mary of the Gales, goddess of poetry, yarner of tales, singer of spring, druidess of oak, holy fire, smoke, teach me of brotherhood, sorority, take anything you want from me. I don't remember how we first met, because it never happened. But did you hide my bike? Help me with homework, push me off the tree? Was I overbearing with my love, protecting you from your partner? Did I do unspeakable deeds when you told me what they'd done? Or was I overjoyed at being the godfather to your first son, making me an uncle? Will I make you an aunt? Who was told first, or were we both there when cancer was uttered? Did we take it in turns going to the hospital? Are you younger or older, I, the pupil or the master? I'd selfishly rather die first than read at your funeral. Are you pagan in tradition, shining in bulk colours, white and silver for snow and ice, pale gold for the passing winter sun, jade green for the first flowers of spring, garnet red for the lambs to be born, amethyst for protection and the birthstone of February? With the sun's growing strength, you brightened each day, and here you found me halfway between the solstice and equinox. I'm a straw boy to your cross, and I sense your healing at this time of rebirth. You've been born, revealing my blind ignorance. Sister, now I find all we have is the imagination to play happy families in the mind. One thing's for sure, though, I know you'd be kind.
Thanks, Stephen. Lovely teeth. Now, I know that the way I'm going to announce this next person is incorrect, but I read it this way, and I just think it's great. Alexander the 10th.
Your way.
I know that, yeah. I know that. Just when I read it, it looked like Alexander the 10th, and I thought that's amazing. Alexander Toth.
Yeah, it's Hungarian. Yeah. So this poem is called Wake Up. It's about kind of like when you go through emotional pain, like moments of going through emotional pain and like remembering difficult times from the past. Peace. I wonder what that feels like. All I feel is the volcano about to erupt. Its burning ashes standing in my way, like a wall made of crimson flames. But do I get burned? No. I fight. I walk right through. Nothing will hurt me. I tell myself I feel no pain, but internally my screams echo like the most fierce storm in the night sky. What do I see? Red. What do I feel? Rage. Even confusion. But you cannot fight this rebellious storm. It wields its own dazzling power. Memories come flashing like 1,000 volts. When electric sparks ignite something unexplainable in me. It's like my mind works as a time machine, powered by those electric sparks, replaying those sorrowful memories, reminiscing about the past, like a live collage. What does it look like, you ask? Like a shattered heart of mosaic, broken but vivid. The moon's silver light illuminating these mosaic pieces, each piece reflecting my screaming emotions like the melody of a song, chaotic but beautiful, the song of a scared soul, battle of an armorless warrior, as my worried thoughts get louder and louder like the thunder itself. I cannot control my thoughts anymore unless I conquer the storm. Can this insanity ever be cured? Wake up, I tell myself, wake up.
Thank you, Alexander the 10th. And I'm going to say it's true. Just before I introduced Alexander, I was looking at the time, it's getting a bit tight with 5 left. Maybe we should make an announcement just to try and keep it a bit short because we don't want to keep the bar staff late. And then I called out Alexander's name and she's behind the bar. And I think, okay, that's that pressure fucking ease. Let's just drive on. Jake M. What's that? M. I can't pronounce the second name. Yeah. It's not that I can't pronounce it, I can't read it. That didn't help matters at all, did it? Fucking hell, sorry. Does that say Jake?
Jake M.M. Griffin.
Jake M.M. Griffin?
Yeah.
That's a rock star name.
Thank you. Hi guys, just want to plug my Instagram before I get started with this poem. It's at Jake Griffin is last. If you guys want to give me a follow, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you very much. So, this poem is called Heart of the Nuclear Buddha. Above a tattered valley of flattened Nagasaki, the heart of the nuclear Buddha sat happily. Only a statue, his values were blast-proof. In charred and stellar Zen, the third noble truth. Nirodha from the sound of one hand clapping. Nirvana from the strike of 2 bombs dropping. Through right thinking, the mystics missed it. Is it coincidence? Or is it merely optimistic to see compassion form after a nuclear droplet? But yes, the Buddha smiled. Nothing could stop it. That or the eightfold path of atomization, total erosion of eros in all derealizations, but the realization dawned too late on man that most of suffering happens at his own hand. As the hands of Hibakusha fell to nothing, waste flesh, lotus tumors and cancer budding in the fallout radiation, they looked for something to ease the pain of their newly burning skin, and that of the unborn children within, born deformed, cleansed of original sin, the metamorphosis, a hellfire baptism. We are become death, destroyer of worlds. This can't be the way karma unfurls. These weapons are not the arms of good guys, and I see no good in this grave price. They'll need no graves. They've been vaporized. Loving kindness pours forth and blinds. Unlike the melted people below his seat, the Buddha has long surpassed this reality. It's in the smile. The smile. A brass smile, half scorched and alone for miles, that compassion aisles. Thank you.
Should we say the Instagram handle is Jake Griffin is lost? Excellent, excellent name, excellent name. Mairead is next.
And this is my last day as a hotel waitress. That's the name of the poem. It's not my last. I took my last order from. Sorry. I took my last order from a manager who happened.
Sorry, I dropped the door.
Very short. Okay. I took my last order from a manager who happened to stay the night. I like her, but it was not poetic. My actual last request was from a couple who wanted more coffee. I brought them more coffee. It was not poetic. There were 2 tables left to reset, and I reset them. It was not poetic. I folded napkins for the last time, but it's not like I was signing them. It was not poetic. I said goodbye to everyone, but efficiently, like I might be in again, and it was not poetic. Allow me to explain, I am the kind of person who writes a poem about rain because I can't accept that it could just rain. But my last day as a hotel waitress, I opened the back door and it was dull and grey like a Saturday in January, because it was a Saturday in January, and the back door closed behind me because it is the kind of door that closes by itself.
Excellent. We're also a poetic piece that revolves around the phrase "it was not poetic." That's kind of genius. Thanks, Mairead. Antonio.
Hi, thank you. So this poem is inspired from different phrases that I catched from meeting my friends and on my Christmas holidays. Sometimes it's very nice spending Christmas with friends, but everything happens too fast. So good thing and bad thing happened together in this sort of weird mixture. So this poem is called Washing Machine. Washing machine rotates following a precise goal. Function 1 is for the wool. Turn on the program and switch, like the cancer of my father who passed away 2 months ago. Function 2 is for the cotton. There's a simultaneous rotation in the washing machine. My child now is 7. Nightmares come regularly on a beautiful and bright day. We got married last year and now we live in a very expensive neighborhood in London. My mom has a cancer. I don't know how long she's going to live. Function 3 is for synthetics. I met this guy on Tinder. We had sex. Don't know what to do now. Me and my friends were completely drunk on St. Sylvester's night. Cancel that picture. I'll have to do that post again. Which are the right words to say to a person who is going to die? Abandoning someone is a learning process. Function 4, full heat drying. Smelling the air after the fireworks with sulfur and fog. I can breathe, but there will be no George Floyd this time. The washing machine program is over, or maybe it's just started. Open the dishwasher door and let your dreams fly out. Thank you. Thanks.
Open the dishwasher door and let your dreams fly out. No, it's 10 to 12. We have to finish at 10 to 12. We've had 24 people on the open mic. We have a 25th person on the list. If we invite them up to read, we're going to go into extra time. That's not really allowed. But the 25th person on the open mic this month, is Michelle Delay. Like, there's just no way we can go home without hearing Michelle Delay. Come on. I was bigging you up, Michelle. Come on, we're not going home without hearing you read. Like.
So hurry up.
You know.
It's only a short one, guys. Thanks for tonight. It was gorgeous. Thanks, Seth. And how are you now? The black rings still frame the sun. Are they cartooning you again? Have they you tiptoed on a door hook, cuffed by your locker loop? Is your combed cotton shirt coral blue or brilliant? Are your thumbnails clean while your palms are thinning? Are you drifting, picturing shrinking in mossy rock pool reveries? How long can silk tags soft, broken lips of winter haunt? Do you think of me, or do you get to beaches anymore? Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. You have no idea how tempted I was to introduce you by saying we're just going to have it to maintain the gender balance. You have no idea. But I resisted. We're at the end of the night. No, but you and I get it, and that's enough. That's it. It doesn't matter if anybody else gets it. Fuck them. Who else got it? You got it? Okay. Healy got it. That's okay. We're at the end of the night. I want to say a massive thank you to Alexandra for being behind the bar and looking after us. Massive thank you to the Long Valley as always for providing the space for it. It's a great venue and it's worked really well for us for many years. So thank you to them. Thanks to Paul Casey for keeping it going, the legend that he is. Big thank you to all of you who contributed to the 5-word challenge. Congratulations to Cedric on winning and changing his name on the strength of it. Big thank you to all of you who contributed to the open mic. It was, as always, absolutely fabulous. Give yourselves a round of applause. And finally, well, not quite finally, but very close to finally, huge round of applause for two wonderful readings by our two wonderful guest poets, Luke and Molley Twomey. So I'm going to say goodnight by thanking you. I am currently taking treatments to release trauma from my body. When I booked one last week, the girl I was booking it said 4 o'clock on Monday, said perfect. She said to me, is the Ovale on next Monday night? I said, it is. She said, you'll be able for it. I said, that is food for the soul. And I was right. Good night. Thank you. Paul Case is going to Mains and is wondering, would anybody like to join him? Answers on a postcard to Mains.
Take us down.
Huh? All good. No, Paul. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you never know.
I did try mushrooms the first time last year, so I had to recognize it. Oh my god.